Now, that microphone was not on. Let me know if you can hear me now. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's back up then. Let's back up a little bit because that was all stupid and no one heard anything I just said. Oh my gosh. It's been a long week. I was just talking about how I've been through StoryBrand and this week has been nuts and this is evidence of it. So hopefully you can hear me now. Everybody good? Everyone good? This is the one time I didn't put my earphones in and test the mic before I got on. And even if I did, I think it would have probably worked. But now you should be able to hear. Okay, thank you, Ryan. Saved my life here. Thank you so much for that. You get a cookie. I will send it along in 4 to 6 weeks. So thank you so much for that. That was awesome. Good save. So I've been in StoryBrand. If you don't know StoryBrand, check that out. Go to Business Made Simple University. Go to storybrand.com. It's changed everything that I didn't know what I didn't know. That's what I said first. And now we're talking about a camera. If you need a low budget option and you're a church that can't afford $3-4 grand on a camera that shoot 4K, 1080, or not even 1080, but just higher than that. Right now you're trying to find out how to stream. So I'm talking about this post from Church Media Guys. That's their handle. You can also follow others that I said, like Carl Barnhill has a company called 1230 Media. Great company that shows you this kind of stuff. Rob Lauder has something called Church Photographers. Always good gear, always good insight into gear. Pixel Preacher is actually another one that you could look at. So there's a ton of good options for finding good gear. Like, people often ask me about this microphone. This is a Shure SM7B. It's about $400. So we can't, dude, I sold like 6 microphones to buy this one microphone. So it's not like I'm just rolling in the dough, but you can make things happen if you want to, but most of us don't have a budget for this kind of stuff, really high-end cameras, and we need something that's good. And I've worked with this kind of camera before. So let's show you the post. This is Church Media Guys. That's a Canon Vixia HF-R800 because names are awesome. And, this little camera can do a lot. It's a 1080p camera and you need to watch for that. The P is important. I don't know why I'm thinking of this. I'm gonna tell you a joke. I can't get it out of my head. I got to say, why can't you hear a pterodactyl urinate? Because the P is silent. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing here. It's been a crazy week, man. All right, so you look at this camera and it's just like, it's a good camera. They've got an HDMI out coming here, coming out, and you can't see my cursor. It's coming out of the side there, and we'll look at the camera, how much it is here in a second. Let's go to Amazon, and I can show you what it is on Amazon. This little camera, it's far away. They've got a good setup. There's decent lighting. They probably got audio going in somewhere. I don't know if it's going into this camera or if it's going, like their microphone is hooked up, but they've definitely got they got something going on here because this looks like a really professional setup. And you can see a boom mic right there in the top right corner of this post. So there is a decent setup here, but they're using the Vixia camera, which is not expensive. Let me show you kind of what this looks like over here. Let's go to my screen share. All right. So here we are. This is the Canon Vixia. It is $249 on Amazon Prime. $250. You get a nice camera. Let's take a look at some of the specs. Here's the first one. My internet going to freeze up. Oh, geez. Okay. Here we go. Get that out of the way. We want to see the camera. All right, here we go. Now, 57 advanced zoom. That doesn't mean a lot to me, honestly. We often do, when you're live streaming, you're probably going to stream from the back of the room or far away. You know, in the shot we saw from Church Media Guys, we saw that it's about 10 feet away. That's probably good distance. If you're filming from like the back of the room with one of these, you're probably going to struggle a little bit. So, and here's why. Because this 57x advanced zoom sounds fantastic, but what they really mean is it probably has what is a 10x optical zoom and like 57x digital zoom. Now the digital zoom is different than the optical zoom. Here's why. Optical zoom is how much you can zoom in with the actual lens. Okay, so you can zoom in 10x with the actual lens of the camera that will still give you a crisp and clear full 1080p image. But when you get into digital zoom, you're basically taking that 10x version of the optical zoom and just making it bigger. And you know, if you know anything about pixel aspect ratios and things like that, if you zoom in further and further and further to an image, the further you zoom in, the blurrier it gets. So because you're stretching those pixels instead of, you know, just zooming in on them. And so the digital zoom actually can get blurry if you're pretty far from the back. That's where your lighting really starts to you kind of fail. And it's really important because your lighting has to be super good. And most of us honestly just don't have good lighting. And then you lose some of a lot of the quality. Now, I will say digital zooms have gotten way better. So I haven't seen this particular model work in a full-on digital 57x zoom, but I'm going to imagine it's not going to be what you really want. So put the cameras up close, look at the optical zoom on these things, which is in the specs. I couldn't find it. It's on the box, but I couldn't find it here in this quick scan of their description. But let's look at the inside here. All right, check it out. Here's what the inside looks like. Okay, so you've got a full HDMI. Is it full? It might be the small one. Either way, it's got an HDMI out, and then next to it, that's a USB out, because the battery is on the back, right? All the battery stuff is back here, and your power and everything you wire in on the back. But then you've got this, okay, that first little circle hole there is the AV out. So it's probably one of those, an output, like it's the single, like Walkman jack, if you remember what a Walkman is, the 1/8 inch jack that has the 3 rings on it that goes into the yellow, red, blue, and white split, the RCA at the end. But then you've got a headphone jack next to it, so you can listen in and hear what's going on, which I should have done when I started the show. So it's got this touch screen where all the controls pretty much are. So it's got some neat features. You can flip it around to, watch as you're streaming. Comes with these accessories. That looks like the small version of HDMI to full HDMI. It comes with that cable. And then you've got a USB. It's kind of like what a printer might have, but it's a USB to USB for your computer kind of cable. And then you've got a power pack and a battery. So the cool thing about these cameras that you really should be thinking about is that for something like this camera's perfect. This camera can give you it's better than what I've got. I've got this little garbage little webcam right here, that I just sit on the top of my computer. And it says 1080p, but I don't believe it. It's not the greatest. Because I've got light behind me, window, and it still feels like it's a little bit fuzzy. So you kind of have to play with this stuff and see what you can get. But at the end of the day, the Canon Vixia is a pretty good camera, and it's pretty good for streaming. And if you're looking for a low budget option that can really get the job done, the Vixia class is a good one to look at. It really is. This is it in action again. Really good camera. I highly recommend these if you have low budget. $250 and you're rolling, man. They give you everything you need. And what I was going to show you about the Canon that's really cool is now they've issued a free patch that all their cameras, even the DSLRs, like I have a Canon 80D DSLR camera right here that I'm going to hopefully start using once I get a power adapter for it. But I'm going to start using it for this show, and I've tested it, and oh my gosh, it's higher quality. You're gonna notice when you come back to the show and I'm using it. But it is those kinds of cameras now, you can just plug them straight into your computer if you download this patch from Canon, and it operates as a web camera from your USB, and you don't have to buy the little uplink little box or the extra equipment anymore for Canon cameras of any kind. So that's a cool feature for Canon, because I am a Canon guy. I like Canon, but I know Sony does stuff like that, and Nikon does stuff like that now too. So they're not unique in that, but Canon finally has done something where you can just plug in to use their cameras for this kind of thing. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, let's move on. Today, let's move on to our tip of the day. For tips and such comes from our friend Nick Goodner. And you can follow Nick at Nick Goodner. He actually spells his name without a C, like a psychopath. And I love this guy. He's a good friend, and he runs the CRTV Church, the Creative Church Facebook group and Instagram account. And so Nick is an Enneagram 8. He will tell you exactly what he thinks, and I love it. So Nick comes to us, and this is the kind of thing he does. He's very minimalistic when it comes to creativity on his Instagram posts. And so here's what he had to say. Stop trying to send people to another platform to enjoy your content. Create content for the platform they're on. And then in his caption, for more, watch my latest YouTube video. So funny. Nick is so tongue-in-cheek and snarky sometimes, and I love it. But this is a good tip. And the tip is let me explain the tip, why it's good. People are on Instagram and they don't want to leave Instagram. They're on Facebook. They don't want to leave Facebook. They're on Twitter. They don't want to leave Twitter to go and do something that you're asking them to do. So 80%, I would say, 80% of what you create for each platform should not require them to leave it. Should not require them to leave the platform. They should be able to engage with it, enjoy it, benefit from it right there. And I know that 20% of the time you're going to need to say, sign up for this thing, or come to this event, or fill out this form, or go over here and watch the video. But now that Instagram has such a good integration with IGTV, there's no need to send to YouTube. They have stories that are constantly going with all these interactive things. There's no need to send them away to do polls, to do forms. There's just no reason to really do that on Instagram. Instagram is one of the most complete platforms to stay there and do everything you need to do. And now they're opening up shopping type options and things like that. And as I reported earlier and a couple weeks ago, they're going to be issuing their clone of TikTok soon called Reels, Reels. And if they spell it with a LZ at the end, so help me, I will not use it. But that's what's coming. So they're getting ready to start dominating the TikTok world, especially if our government's going to cancel TikTok for trolling the trolling political rallies and sharing our information. So we did a podcast recently, Megan and I, at the Seminary of Hard Knocks, and Nick's going to be on there soon too, if not this week, the next. But we did a podcast all about TikTok and some of the security issues that should be coming out soon. So watch for that on the Seminary of Hard Knocks. Okay, so here's Nick's. I think this is great advice. If you're thinking about content, thinking about your strategy, how often are you trying to send them? I would go back, look at your last 20 posts. Look at your last 20 posts on Instagram, maybe 30, and say, how many of them are you asking them to leave Instagram? How many of them are you asking to go to your bio, click a link, and go somewhere else? How many times are you asking them to do that? And if out of 30 times you're doing it more than, let's say, 5 to 7, you're doing it way too much. You're doing it too much. And maybe you need to think about your content on Instagram. I would say the same rule applies probably for Facebook, because people, they don't want to leave the platform. They're there to surf, to consume. They're not there to, bounce around the internet. They're on Facebook right now. Think about how you use it. They're on Facebook right now. They're on Instagram right now. And when I get done looking at Instagram, I'll go somewhere else. And when I get done looking at Facebook, I'll go somewhere else. But I don't want to have to go somewhere, come back, somewhere, come back, somewhere, come back. That's stop and go traffic. That's not good for your car. It's not good for your mind. It's not good for your body and soul. It's just not good for your Instagram strategy either. So don't send people away off the platform if you can avoid it. Try to do what you need to do right there. And you may go, well, then they can't sign up for stuff. Right. They're not there to sign up for stuff. You're wasting your time anyway. Don't do that. That's a 20% thing or less. I know that maybe your pastor is going to push, promote. But we have to keep trying to help them understand that social media is not an advertisement platform unless you're paying for it. Because if you're not paying for it, nobody's really seeing it anyway. This is just creating community, creating culture. There's so many other functions of social media that you're missing that are great, that don't require you to be in front of the most people you possibly can. So use it that way. Use it how the platform wants to be used, because they're the ones that decide how to use it. And so you got to work within that. All right, so we're going to look at one more. This may take a little bit of time, but I've talked about this before. I think this is our spotlight for the day. And I don't know if you follow any of your local news anchors, but on Instagram, it's hit or miss. I mean, a lot of times they're terrible. They really don't know how to use it, but there's some that are starting to really get it. And there's one here who is a local news anchor. Her name is Meredith Land, and her Instagram account is The Landline News. She actually did a contest to help her name her Instagram account because she was going to start doing news in the stories. And so we're going to look at her stories here and see what she's doing. I'll kick over here really quick to her account so you can see what it looks like. That's my notes. Here it is. All right. So this is Meredith Land, The Landline News. And you can see on her feed, she's got pictures of her home, her kids, behind the scenes, screenshots, things going on. It's just kind of her life behind the scenes. Here she is, news dressed from the top up, because she's going live at home. Again, here, these kinds of things. So you get to look into her life on her feed, but her stories are a different matter altogether. And that's what we're going to look at today. And this is what I love this. So we're going to look at how she's using stories to share the news with the local community. Really, really cool. Here we go. Let's look. All right. I've captured several screenshots of what she does, and let's just start off. Here we go. All right, this is one of her posts. Warm and muggy with spotty storms. Swipe up. These links, she's got 30-something thousand followers, so she's got the swipe up link, right? So this helps quite a bit. Many churches may not have this. You may have to retool things, but you can always send to IGTV, or you can say link in bio if you need to send them away. Again, try not to send them away. Try to give them everything they need right here. But she can swipe up. So it's like, hey, if you want to know more about the weather, swipe up. And this is a weather post. Really great. She gave the date. She gave she's not the weatherman. She just said, what's it going to be? He said, hot and warm and muggy with spotty storms, high of 92. She's like, got it. Done. That's super easy to do. Think about how you're doing announcements at your church. What if you did announcements like this and you didn't have to go into this whole design process for announcements? This is a photo she took of the sky and then gave you the weather. I mean, we got to think this way, man. This is so good. Okay, let's look at another one. All right, so Miss Laura Bush's summer reading list. We're in Texas, so the Bushes right here in Dallas, and they have the library, and they're very involved. And so she's actually good friends with Laura Bush. So Mrs. Bush reading list for elementary and middle schoolers is out. Mix of topics: wrong, race, and kindness. Staying true to you, siblings, bondings, more. Swipe up for her list. So link to, notice that she's got, she's tagged Laura Bush, she's tagged the Bush Center, she's put out their graphic that they made. She just shared this user-generated content coming from a 35,000 person follower news anchor. Didn't make a thing yet. So here, that's pretty cool. Then what she does, Texas positivity rate. Okay, so this was actually in a series of posts about coronavirus. She reports on that every week. But look how positive we are. Texas is very positive. We're very positive. But we're getting less positive, so that's good. I think we could use a little less positivity here in Texas. But look at our chart. So you can see they explain. She has a graphs guy that she's actually made a character. He's a real dude. He makes graphs for her, but she's kind of, you'll see. It's kind of fun. Then she jumps to Clemson delays in-person instruction. She's just reporting headlines. But I've been waiting to see what other universities will do. Then she lets you vote. They should delay or let's get on with it. Kind of a fun, get the barometer of the room. And, she does a lot of this kind of stuff you'll see. So then she goes, parents, more help with childcare and tutoring, because that's a huge issue. Parents need to go back to school, need to go back to work, but their kids aren't going to school. It's like, what do I do for daycare? There's a lot of companies and stuff that are saying, hey, we have people that we're checking, that we're temperature checking, being safe, etc. Can come to your house, form little pods. There's a lot of creative ideas going on. So she's sharing some of those if you're interested in it, because it's better than just not doing anything and not saying anything about it. It's like people need help, so she's helping. That's pretty cool. And then they do a picture of this almost every day, a couple times a day, where they write in, they usually, over here on the bottom right, you can see, these are all the counties in our area in DFW. I am actually up in Denton County, right there in the middle top. And so in our county, we've had 5,544 cases, 40 deaths. I think they wrote in the recovery. So it just kind of keeps you up to date, just so you can look at it for yourself. and see what's going on, because everyone's worried about the coronavirus. So we're looking, here's some more graphs that kind of show what's going on with the total cases. And then she shares daily new cases, and look, we're going down. Yay, finally, we're seeing something here in DFW. Man, I'd love to be less positive about coronavirus here. But so she even tagged her graphs guy about all that shaming he took last night because he didn't do any graphs yesterday. And they were like, where's all the graphs? And people are like going, we want our graphs. So it's kind of this little fun thing with her followers she's doing. And then and then she goes county by county and does Dallas County, you can see. And then she does, she does other counties. But she does Dallas County, Denton County, Tarrant County, all of those. So anyway, really cool that she does that. And then she even tweeted or screenshotted a tweet from our mayor. She has a couple of those in her. I mean, these are 10. She had like 50 stored, like way too much, right? But she's reporting the news all day long. And she updates about 3 or 4 times a day with new things, new stats, new updates. She's keeping people informed because she is a good news anchor. She's given us the news. And here's what our mayor said. 537 deaths due to COVID-19 in Dallas. 30 were residents of long-term care facilities. So trying to break down the info so that we're informed and not just believing the rhetoric that we hear on whatever biased news site you're listening to. So 74% had one high-risk condition, 44 Hispanic, 67 over 65, 65% were male. So we're seeing all these stats, and she's keeping us informed. That's what news people do. So it's really, really helpful. I really enjoy following her. It keeps me informed of what's going on around me. I watch the news sometimes because I'm kind of old fashioned that way. But at the end of the day, I like to know what's happening. And so thinking about this for stories for your church, let's apply it to your church. The church wants to do announcements so much, but they're so boring and they don't perform well at all. Yet here is a news anchor who basically is all announcements, because it's all news, right? It's all announcements. And she makes it fun. She makes it interactive. She makes it exciting to look at. She makes it unique and different. And none of those did she make anything other than just little quick pictures and simple grabs of user-generated content. She had a graphs guy make some graphs for her. And then she took some photos, shared some other people's stuff, and had like 50 stories. And we think Insta Stories is complicated. It's because we make it complicated. We make announcing things complicated when it should be the easiest thing in the world. Like, hey, we need to tell people about our, job fair, or we need to tell people about the, our latest updates about what we're doing to open, or whatever. Take a photo of something related to that subject, and then write over it in stories. Done. Share it to Facebook stories. I know not everybody's on stories, but man, in your feed, nobody wants to see this stuff. Just nobody does. I mean, you look at her feed, look at your feed, go back through your insights, ask and find out what are your highest performing and lowest performing posts over the last 30 days. I guarantee top half is interactive, behind the scenes, fun stuff, pictures of people. Your lowest performing stuff is going to be your straight up come to do something event announcements every time, unless you have made that event something exciting to look at and interact with on your feed. It is going to be that way every time. And so yet we put all of our effort into trying to make those, the thing that we do. Don't do that. Just like Nick said, don't ask them to go off your platform. Don't just tell them information. Use social media, use Instagram to delight your audience. And with stories, there are endless amounts of ways to do that. I mean, just look at some of the stuff she did. I'm going to pick a random one. The image is there. Let's just break this down. This is a graph about who's getting a virus. Okay, that's a serious deal. But she has given hierarchy. Look at this. Dallas County is highlighted and surrounded. And then cases are way down today because she understands how a headline works. She's a news person. Then here's your graph. She tags the person. And then underneath writes, even though deaths were at a record 30. I don't know if she means a record high or a record low. I would think that a record low would be 0. But a record high maybe 30 that we're down. So it makes sense now. Okay, I'm following. Cases are way down today, even though deaths were a record 30. So we have more deaths today, or 7 hours ago at least, than we have before, but our record cases are down. That's a good thing. But then there's a picture of a camel. I don't know. Why is the camel there? I don't know. They're better than white space, I guess. I don't know. Because at the bottom where that camel is where a swipe up link is. And I think she's using the hump of the camel to point up. I don't know. Random. But she filled the space with something interesting. Look at this other one. All right. Here's this lady. It says Zoom. I don't know why it says Zoom. But here's a lady. What is that? I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what that image is. Sound off in the comments. Anybody got an idea? I have no idea. No idea what that image is. So, Zoom. Don't know what that means. This is weird. This is random, but it's working. Did you just crash? Okay, we're good. I thought I was about to crash. Sorry. Man. Tagged the graphs guy. Must have been all that shaming he took. I don't know what this little orange thing is, but here's another graph. Let's just look again. Look at another one. Here's the picture of the graph. Wednesday, and she time-stamped it. So you know how up-to-date this info is. Brilliant. Simple. Look at this one. She wrote the parents more help with childcare and tutoring. Brighten up your day and all that is part of that image. And then she wrote this little arrow. You can't see because it's a screenshot, but this little arrow to the left here, they're pointing up. They are a GIF that just, kind of it does that. And then you got the see more thing at the bottom. And then she tagged the company over to the side there so that they can share in their story. And then right here, she wrote my school. She's grabbed this off the internet, it looks like, because it's blurry around the edges. So she didn't screenshot that. And then I've been waiting to see what other universities will do. And she asked a question. So, I mean, she's great. She just does this really well. Look at this. She actually added the underline. So it highlights that I'm talking about Dallas County in all these facts. Because she knows how people are going to react. And I've read comments on some of her stuff. They react poorly a lot of times. Because people don't like being confronted with information that they disagree with or don't understand. And it just happens. So, especially now, when we politicize whether or not we should even, have a cat or a dog and crap like that. So she's doing a great job. You can do a great job on social media as well with your stories. Anyway, I'm going to cut it short because we've been going for long enough today. It's been a longer show than normal. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you got past the silence at the beginning. If you did, you stuck with me. Thank you for watching. I'll be back next week with more Insta Good show to help you get Insta Good at Instagram for your church. Thanks for watching. I'm Seth. Go follow me at all the places that you can follow me. Hit me Seth Muse or SethMuse.com. And I hope that you'll subscribe to the Seminary of Hard Knocks podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We talk about church communications, marketing, and social media in real time, as well as how to deal with the current crisis. So check it out. We got new episodes coming this week, and with me and my co-host Megan Ranson, we'll be back with you there. So really looking forward to that. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for watching the Insta Good Show. We'll be back next week. See ya.